Hello, myself Lokesh from group 317. So today's my topic is carbohydrate, lipids, vitamins, cofactor and hormones. So first of all, I want to describe about the carbohydrates. So what is carbohydrates? Here is the definition. So carbohydrates are polyhydroxyaldehydes or ketones or compounds which produce them on hydrolysis. They are known as carbohydrates. Carbohydrate, if we classify carbohydrates into four groups: monosaccharides, disaccharides, oligosaccharides, and polysaccharides. Monosaccharides are those which are in simple sugar or have a single unit. Disaccharides have two sugar units connected by glycosidic bond, and oligosaccharides are those who have 3 to 10 sugar units. Its example is stacklose, and polysaccharides are more than 10 units. If we describe more about monosaccharides, monosaccharides are also divided on the basis of their number of carbon atoms and functional groups. If the functional groups are here aldehyde and ketone. The aldehyde have if 3 carbon, then this aldehyde group is known as glyceraldehyde. If the ketone have the 3 carbon, then it is called dihydroxyacetone. And if I also describe like the aldehyde group have 6 carbon, then it is called glucose, and the ketone have 6 carbon, then it is called fructose. So here is some test for monosaccharides, like Mollis test. It is for all groups for carbohydrates, and the Benedict test for all reducing sugars. The next one is disaccharides. Disaccharides is also divided into reducing and non-reducing. Reducing carbohydrates are those carbohydrates which are react with the aldehyde and ketone, and non-reducing are those which don't react with the aldehyde and ketone. Reducings are two types: lactose and maltose. Lactose are break down into glucose and galactose and have the beta 1 for glycosidic bond, and maltose are break down into glucose and glucose. It have alpha 1 for glycosidic bond. If we talk about the sucrose is break down into glucose plus fructose. It have alpha beta glycosidic linkage. Now polysaccharide. Polysaccharide is also divided into two parts: homopolysaccharide and heteropolysaccharide. Homopolysaccharide is composed of same sugar units. Here the 10 less than 10 monosaccharide constitutes and monosaccharides are the same, but in heteropolysaccharide the constituent monosaccharides are different. The main difference between both of them that the in monopolysaccharide the constituents are same, but in heteropolysaccharide the constituents are different. Examples of monosaccharides like starch, glycogen, cellulose, dextrin, dextrose, inulin, and chitin. Starch, as we know that it storage form of carbohydrate in plant. Cellulose, it can't be digested by human due to lack of enzyme cellulose, and inulin is a polymer of fructose, as we know. Chitin is also present in the exoskeleton of insects. Now the heteropolysaccharide, it is composed of more than 10 sugar units. If I talk about the examples, it's glycose, aminoglycans, and agar. It is made up of glucose and galactose used in bacterial culture media. Agarose used for protein and nucleic acid electrophoresis. And the last one is pectin. Main content is galacturonic acid used in food in gelling agents. So my second topic is lipids. What is lipids? So lipids are organic compounds relatively insoluble in water and soluble in organic solvents. Example of ether, benzene, chloroform, and acetones. Lipids are classified into four parts: simple lipids, complex lipid, derived, and miscellaneous. Simple lipids are those which are fatty acid plus alcohol. Complex lipids are fatty acid plus alcohol plus a group. Here a group should be phospholipid, glycolipid, and lipoproteins. Derived are those which are formed from the simple and complex lipids. It is a fatty acid, glycerol, steroid, cholesterol, and vitamin A, D, K, E, K. Miscellaneous are those which have a little bit characters of the lipids, like the carotenoids and terpenes. Now the phospholipids. Phospholipids are those which have a fatty acid plus alcohol and plus phosphate group. It is also divided into the glycer phospholipid and sphingophospholipid. Glycer phospholipids are those which alcohol plus glycerol group is added here, and in sphingophospholipid here is sphingosine group is added. Now the function of phospholipids, like the lecithin is act as a respiratory surfactant prevents the collapse of lungs. It is the surfactant between the two layers of the lungs. Here cephalin help in the coagulation and blood clotting, converts prothrombin into thrombin. It is help in the blood clotting. It is act as a blood clotting factor. Here's the platelet activating factor. It is a mediator in inflammation and allergic responses. One clinical significance, if we talk about, it is acute respiratory distress syndrome and antiphospholipid syndrome. What is this? This is the antiphospholipid syndrome is an autoimmune disease in which the antibodies are produced against the phospholipid on plasma membrane, cause formation of blood clots. It causes the blood clots in our body and in our veins. Now the fatty acids. Fatty acids are the aliphatic carboxylic acids. Here is the formula. R is the hydrocarbon chain and the COOH is the functional group. Now the fatty acids are also divided into two types: saturated fatty acids and unsaturated fatty acids. Saturated fatty acids are which contain all single bonds. They are solid at room temperature. Here example is butyric acid and animal fat. If we talk about the unsaturated fatty acid, which contain at least one double bond and in a hydrocarbon chain. Here example is vegetable oil. When it goes under the process of hydrogenation, it convert in the vegetable ghee. The function of lipid, it is a source of energy, as we know, building and a structural material for cell membrane. It is a heat insulator and produces cologne smells. It used in the rose perfumes. So the next topic is cofactor. So what is cofactor? This is a weak and transient association with apoenzymes. Apoenzymes is divided into prosthetic group and coenzymes. Prosthetic groups are those which are non-metallic ions. But cofactor, these enzymes are also called metal activated enzymes. Here example is ATPase. Now the next one is vitamin. Vitamin are divided into two types: fat soluble and water solubles. Fat solubles are vitamin A, D, E, and K. Water solubles are vitamin C, B1, B2, B3, B5, B6, B7, B9, and B12. So if I talk about the clinical cases, like vitamin A causes night blindness, B1 causes beriberi, C causes scurvy, D causes rickets, and E causes hemolysis and sterility, and E also causes hemorrhage. K cause hemorrhage. Now the last topic is hormones. What is hormones? Hormones are chemical substances that act like messengers molecule in the body. It released from the hypothalamus and pituitary. And the hormones are also divided by their site of releasing, like from the posterior and anterior. The posteriors are ADH and oxytocin. ADH act on the kidney and oxytocin in the mammary gland, and the hormone released from the anterior part of the hypothalamus are many types, like the ACTH, which from the adrenal cortex, and TCH, which are from the thyroid. FSH and LH, which have the gonad, ovaries, and testes. Growth hormone in the liver and the entire body. Prolactin mainly work on the mammary glands. Now the hormones. Insulin, it is released from the pancreas from their beta cells, regulate blood glucose levels by the cellular uptake of the glucose, lowering our blood sugar levels. The second one is glucagon. Pancreas, it released from the alpha cell of the pancreas, raise blood glucose level. It increase our blood glucose level. Cortisol from the adrenal gland. It regulates metabolism, immune response, also suppress our immune response. The fourth one is adrenaline. It is also known as epinephrine. From the adrenal gland it releases. It's prepare the body from the flight responses during the stress. It also increases our blood pressure and heart rate. The next one is thyroxine. It is also called the T4. It is released from the thyroid gland. It regulates metabolism and energy. It increases the metabolic rate. The sixth one is triiodothyronine. It is also known as T3 hormone, similar to T4, but it more potent. It increases metabolic rate, adrenal gland. It regulates female reproductive system and the secondary sexual characters. The eighth one is progesterone. It is also released by the ovaries, prepare the uterus from the pregnancy, and also regulate the menstruation cycles. The ninth one is testosterone. Testes and adrenal gland regulates male reproductive system and the secondary sexual characters. 10th, the growth hormone. Pituitary gland stimulates growth, cell reproduction, and regeneration.